A major oil company in America had 2 fatalities in 1 week over electric. The men that paid the price were just 2 workers working an 8-hour day, but they never went home. So the head of the oil company out of Houston, Texas, came to me and asked me, can you build a piece of equipment that can mitigate this problem we got? And so I just told him, give me a couple months to look at it, and I'll look at it and put it all on paper and we'll see what we can do. And he said, we don't got it a couple months, we got to do it today. So I said, well, if money ain't the problem, I'll get her working today. It took a few experimental units. I made them out of railroad boxcars. I've made them out of smaller railroad boxcars. I made them where there's no walls. Everything's just on a skid. I would build it. I'd send it out to the field. We'd find the problems. We'd send it back. We'd build it again. And we did that 3 times. And then finally, when we felt we had the right product, then we just said, that's it. And so we sent the product out on 1 drilling rig. But at the end of the day, all these are on the oil company's locations as the power and water source to their housing. And it worked like a champ for years and years and years and years. And that's where that stands today.
Hey, I'm Asa with Four Corners Equipment. Today I'm here with Robert 𝗪𝗹 and E3 Power and Water, and standing next to his creation that we currently have for sale.
My name's Robert 𝗪𝗹. I'm the inventor of this product right here, and it was invented because of an accident that happened in the industry. Boss wanted to make a new product to introduce in the field, and that's how this product came about. Put it all together, and as a package deal, that's why you see what you see, because it contains 3 parts, and we put them all together to make a package. E3 is mobility. It's power, water, distribution. Say at your house, you have electricity, you have a panel on the outside of your house, and it goes to all the plugins in your rooms. Same thing. But you don't have redundancy on your house because when the power goes out, you just sit there. Or you can go start the other generator and keep on going. And water, when you lose water, you just don't have no water. So you have water on board that's gonna replenish you for days. And it's all drinkable. A lot of equipment out there, you cannot drink the water out of these pieces of equipment because it's too much bacteria.
What industry was this in, Rob?
Oil and gas.
So mainly oil rigs, man camps?
Mainly on drilling rig locations, supplying power and water to the housing. That's all on all drilling rig locations. So that's where this product was used at for 10 years. Well, usually a man camp has 6 to 8 houses, and it would supply all the power. This is a 125 kVA, 100 kW prime power. There's size to how many trailer houses you got, but we size them to run efficiently. And this is a Perkins, and this is bought out of a company out of Phoenix that does generator. It's kind of custom made, so.
There's a lot going on in here. I see that we have the floor, the grate, but it's got a coating on it that's kind of like a sandpaper finish that you see for grip. I see that. I see some serious engine mounts. And then we've got all of the wrap around, I'm guessing all of the heat sources and everything, the exhaust that goes out of this machine. You want to touch a little bit on this and why you created it this way?
The generator is made 480 volt because 480 volt is your best voltage for smooth, low heat electricity. The generator is made to run up in the 70% range. You never want to underload a generator. You want to keep them torquing out when they're being used so they don't get what's called wet stack. You know, you got a deep sump oil pan, which holds more oil, which saves you have more viscosity in your oil before it runs its life out. This has a quick change engine pull, so if this engine goes bad, we can unhook it, take this off, come in with the forklift, lift it up, pull it out.
I see that it's got the fork pockets here, so if this is all out of the way.
4 bolts.
4 bolts, and you can pull an entire engine out.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And it was made that way. It has a plug-in right here where you can unplug this generator, because if you go to certain locations, you cannot work on electricity unless you are an electrician, but it's not against the rules to unplug.
The other thing I see, so if this happens in the middle of the night, I see you've thought about this. You've got some really bright LEDs up here on the roof.
You got emergency light. So if you come up here at night and you don't have a flashlight or nothing, you can turn the lights on and you got light in all compartments. Yeah, these vents right here are made for cubic inches. So you got some on the other side, you got these, but this generator requires so many cubic inches to keep it cold. So when it's sucking all the air in this way, it comes across and exit out there. This is all sound deadening material right here. Everything should always have emergency kill that anybody can access at any time. If you've ever been a rental company and something goes wrong, they call you and they want it fixed right now. So to beat that, you can just start the other generator and call me. I'll come out and fix whatever's wrong here. And the service part of it, you run this one so many hours, turn it off, run that one so many hours, call me up, I'll come service it. Instead of me come and service one engine every 40 hours, let's say, your service bill is gonna be this much, but with two, I can cut that in half. I go up to 60 hours, 80 hours. I can come out and take an oil sample and get that tested, and the hours and the hardship on it, the oil's gonna tell if I need to service it or not, because we don't need to premature service. This is called redundancy. We have an electric fuel pump which will override the manual fuel pump. If the manual fuel pump goes out, you're still running because of the electric fuel pump.
So you got 320 gallons.
Mm-hmm.
And we also know that out in the oil field, sometimes you get some dirty fuel.
Yes,
and
a lot of dirty
fuel.
fuel.
It's not always the cleanest. So one of the coolest things when you first showed this to me that I've always thought about this is your fuel filtration system.
I've had been in business a lot of years. I had a lot of generators, a lot of light towers, a lot of things that run on fuel. 99% of all calls that I got in the middle of the night, you're broke down, is fuel related. So I had to tell myself, how am I going to take fuel out of the equation? So we built special fuel tanks. If you got dirty fuel, all the dirty would go to the bottom, but the fuel that was pulled out of the tank always come from a higher level. So we could never get that dirty fuel up into the engine. So this is what I'm calling in my polishing system. This is a Baldwin water filter. So the tank is built like this, V shape, and there's a tube that runs all the way to the bottom of this, and it sucks up off bottom and circulates that fuel. Up here on the high side is where the suck comes out to feed the engines. So you never get the bottom fuel in the engine. So the bottom of this tank right here, it's just wasted fuel. It's just for trash. And the whole top of this fuel tank, which is that thick, is to feed the diesel engines with clean fuel. People that come over here and open this cap and put fuel in your stuff, they don't care if they put dirt, rocks, mud in your product, because they don't care. They're just gonna put fuel in there. All that debris is going to go to the bottom of the tank, and it's not going to get sucked up in my engines to have a midnight phone call saying I'm broke down. So to have all this polishing system, I think they ought to be on every piece of equipment out there that runs diesel. This thing holds 320 gallons of fuel in the fuel tank. This whole thing right here is a secondary containment. So if you ever have a fuel leak in the system, it's all going to be caught right here, and that's secondary containment drain. So you can drain that containment. So that's very important. That's very environmentally friendly. So that's really important in some states because you have to have secondary containment. Okay, I want to introduce y'all to the power distribution room. This room is standing on a rubber mat, operating your electrical equipment. You want to be safe as possible. We know that there's 2 generators on this unit. You're going to have a manual switch gear, and this is your operation between 2 generators. If I'm running generator 1, I'm generator 1, generator 2, I'm generator 2. If I'm in generator 1, that throws the electric into the 480 panel. This piece of equipment has 120, 240, and 480 operations. Why I invented this like this is there's every type of electricity in this room, which is we have a 480 volt panel, which operates your 480 volt equipment. Then you have 120, 240, 120, 240, 120, 240, 120, 240. And there's really no more in America than that. So this panel right here has 208 power, which is for most oil field housing is all 208. And this room has a dedicated emergency light in it that can be worked with no power on anywhere. Come in, turn the light on, get all rigged up, start everything up. So down here you have your ECMs, which control your generators. But you got welding plugs, you got RV plugs, you got big RV plugs, you got 277, got 208, 60 amp, 30 amp. To rig all this up on location, I would always need a variety of plugs. Some of the houses out there would use like 6 of these banks right here, and then the other houses would use 3 or 4 of these banks. And so you have your cords running out that hole right there. It's all about your plug. Nobody has that variety of electrical in any unit that's made right now. The whole goal of this unit when we built it is no wire. We don't want to see no wire whatsoever. You have these cabinets up here. People that really know electric, they're going to see this and see no wire, and they'll even be impressed. I had a company draw up a Wi-Fi controller. You can start it from the house, put it in auto, and if you're setting at the house, you can start it up. I want to show you the distribution of the power. You're going to have power come in from your generators, come into your switch gear, go to your main distribution panel. Then it's going to come over here on breakers. Breakers are going to protect all of these transformers, and then that power is going to go back to each one of them panels. So you're going to have smooth running power. You're going to keep your generator. You could load up your generator, but you're not going to overload it because you're utilizing the 3 legs of power. Most people that had this, all this stuff just sat all over the ground and wires running everywhere. It's the safest it's going to get right here. Authorized personnel only, so you're not going to have people coming up, touching it, messing with it. You got inlets coming in that come from underneath the skid where the air is the coolest, and that air is going to come across here. And the fans, you have 2 exhaust fans. It's going to suck all that hot air out the roof. It's all concealed. All this heavy equipment, these are super heavy, so we have these sitting on industrial rubber mounts. So when it's going down a bumpy road, dirt road, it ain't gonna break. It's going to be rubberized. So a lot of it meets electrical criteria that can be certified and get a certification. So this cabinet was made to do a plug service, so your electrician could come out and recertify your equipment, check everything out. Instead of tearing everything apart to check it out, he could visually inspect it and do what he had to do. But that's why this was made. So this is the back side of all the plugs. And you can see that this is an authorized cabinet, can't get in here, it's lockable. So you ain't got to worry about anybody getting in here. But when you have your electrician come out and recertify your equipment, he can come out and visually inspect all your stuff and make sure everything's okay, and then get you back certified. Okay, this is the water room of the unit. A lot of this stuff sat outside in the weather before in the old equipment venue, but now it's all inside. Your pump is a 480 volt pump, and that's operated by a variable speed drive, which operates the pressure of the water. So if you got one guy taking a shower, he's got a great shower. If you got 8 guys taking a shower, they all have great shower, because the variable speed drive is going to adjust the water pressure to the demand. And so nobody else had that in the industry. And then you have a UV system in here that will circulate a 2,000 gallon tank in 3 hours. So you can turn it on and the whole tank will circulate through a UV system. And that's what keeps that bacteria out, keeps your water fresh. And so all the water that comes into this room right here is filtered. So you can't get dirty water into your tank. And then when it goes out to the customer, it's filtered. with charcoal filters and a regular filter so you can drink the water. All the water lines are heat traced. So in the wintertime, if you want to plug in all the heat trace and keep everything from freezing, you're welcome to do that. Or you got a heater. This room will get really warm in here. If you keep the door closed and the heater on, you don't have to worry about freeze-ups. We put in a fire reel. So this is a big fire reel right here that you could hook up to a foam gun. So if you was actually shooting foam out of the fire hose, you could cover a whole location in 2 foot of foam. If they maybe fell asleep doing some cooking or something. So if something bad happened and you didn't have a fire unit rented on location, you could have one in this room. To rent a piece of fire equipment back in the days, like $150. But everything is a self-drain. There's a low drain valve, so you don't have to. So when everything's full of water and you're ready to drain the system, you open one valve, everything drains. It's really well thought out, and we've had it that way for 10 years and nobody ever froze up, had a problem. Use it in the coldest of the cold, you're gonna have running water. So this right here is, you have a solar panel on the roof, have a solar controller in here, and it's what controls all the power coming into your emergency lights. This is the brain of your emergency lights. This right here, it tells the level of the water in your tank. In theory, you can be sitting in your trailer house and log in and see how much water is in your tank before you order water. When I built this thing, 240 volt pump, 240 volt heaters, and I would turn on the generators and I would see how many amps are being used. I could be up to like 20 amps being used. So when I rebuilt it again and I put 480 volt pump, 480 volt heaters, I can turn it on now and I got 5 amps being used. So I can give that other 15 amps to the customer. You're not running the biggest generators, you're trying to keep them level loaded to keep them in good shape. So when everybody was looking for me and they didn't know where I was at, I was in here under the air conditioner. We thought it would be a good experiment to close all the doors, have all the air sucking through like it's supposed to suck through, exit the cabin, then we could put a thermostat in here and actually see how hot this room really is within a confined space. And it wasn't above the average temperature, so we put an air conditioner in there just because we could pump some more air in there, plus it'd be cold air. This is all done mathematically, and I think I've been in here when it's been super hot, everything's running, it's nice and cool. So when this unit was on a drilling site, we put it right in the middle, and we'd put 4 houses on this side and we'd put 4 houses on this side. So the 4 could hook up there on this side, and then that's the same thing on the other side. They could hook up their water on that side. And then sometimes they'd have a big secondary water tank that would go right there, and you can hook up secondary water to the unit itself. So if you feel more comfortable and you want more water, you can always add a secondary water source. This is the fill up for the water trucks that come to fill it up. When it's full, it runs out right there. This is the outlet for the fire hose. A lot of times we'd pull it all out and roll it up on the ground, be ready for deployment if we needed the fire hose. Operate just by turn of a valve. And all these are dedicated for heat trace water lines, but all that's dedicated electrical for heat trace to carry the amp load. So this is part of the water room. So this is the water filtration. So when they come and dump water, it has to be filtered before it goes into the tank. So to keep that tank viable as drinking water, you want it filtered. When it gets full, then you turn on the UV system, and in 3 hours, it'll have that completely circulated. And then at the bottom down here, you have drains. So if you did have any problems with the water, it's just gonna drain out of the unit and not fill up and get you in trouble. It's just gonna drain out. Probably one of my favorite things that I went through, I have a friend that owns an oil company, and he asked me to come take this unit to location and watch it for 20 days, see how it does. So we took it out there, and I was the one operating the unit. I never had one problem. I sat there for 20 days, twiddling my thumbs, and read a few books. And people saw it for the first time, rigged up on a location, actually working. People that supplied all this equipment, everybody was so impressed. And the first thing they wanted to do was buy me out. And that's what I love about a good piece of equipment. You don't have problems. One story that I always respect telling is I had a bunch of these working for the oil company, and the oil company come in said, you need to come to the office for a meeting. So I came to the office for a meeting, and they sat me down and they said, well, we're going to give you a $200 a day raise for your equipment. And I said, why is that? And they said, because you've been saving us $5,000 every move, from all the other stuff to this, because you can just pick this right up and gone. The other stuff, you had to pick this up, batch that up, batch that up. A lot of man hours. And so the oil company gave me a raise on my day rate. I walked out of there a happy man. People did not really understand how it was going to work, but we had to make it work because this whole equipment here was based on fatality. But this equipment would have never happened if something wouldn't happen. But if we didn't do anything about it, it's going to happen again. So that's why this equipment is super important.
Over the years, I've watched you develop this thing from scratch, and I've walked around this a dozen times with you, and I'm blown away by the machine. And I'm really excited to be able to have this on my yard, to be able to sell this. We talked about the industries besides oil and gas that this would benefit, like Hurricane Katrina and some natural disasters happen, where they have to have a bunch of people come in and they basically set up a man camp. What other industries or situations would you see this being beneficial?
There's not a single person in America that doesn't need electric. And there's not anybody that doesn't need water. If Walmart wanted to put it beside Walmart, if the power went out, they could wire it in and fire up Walmart. If somebody bought a ranch out in the middle of nowhere and they could go off grid, power up the whole ranch and house, barn, and have water and distribution. I had the country of Mexico call me. They wanted to buy them and put them beside all the hospitals in Mexico to power up the hospitals, because the power is so erratic in Mexico. It would be a good fit for them. And a lot of people, why it is, because it's secure, it's safe, it's clean, and a lot of other things aren't. I'd say it's worth $500, but I'm giving you a break at $275. So if this was your only power, and this was your only source of water, and this is your only sort of distribution, and it's running your entire house or your entire ranch or your entire work site, I think it's well worth to have steady, reliable power. How much is your time going to cost you when you're broke down and everybody's standing around? And $275 adds up real quick in the industry. This piece of equipment will outlive everybody that's alive today. And if all you do is close the doors, everything's gonna stay brand new, tough, reliable. It's gonna save your day. I think it's well worth $275. It doesn't exist unless it's all a separate piece of equipment, because I own the patent on this, and nobody in America has power, water, distribution on one skid, because I own that property. So if anybody's out there that has power, water, distribution, let me know.
Well, Rob, thanks for coming out and showing us this unit today. Appreciate all the features and benefits of this machine that you've showed us. It's really well thought out, well put together.
Thank you.
And it blows my mind every time I see this thing. For those of you on your phones or in the office, at home watching this video, if you're interested in this unit, you could contact us at our webpage, fourcornersequipment.com, or you could give us a call. We'd love to chat with you about your power and water needs. Once again, you could use this for your house. You could use it for an oil field location. You could use it if you have disaster relief. Any of those things, we could talk to you about power and water all day long. We appreciate you. Thank you.